So if you finish with the Submarine UV, okay, there are one thing that I want you to have a look. Okay, so if you observe the UV map, or the checker pattern rather, on this UV shell, okay, so there is inconsistency actually. Okay, so especially in this region, so if we have the same exact UV map that I have, right, you should have some distortion around here. Okay, so again, whatever you finish with the UV, you should always check if there is any issue with your UV shell. Okay, because things like this, right, is indicating that there's gonna be a distortion happening around this area. Okay, because as you can see, the checker pattern is actually being stretched. Okay, so there are many ways to fix this one. So if I select this face so that it's indicating it's that one over there. So if I go to the UV, right, and if I pull this to the side, right, and everything kind of like fixing itself. Okay, so the texture pattern, okay, or the checker pattern here is getting better, right, as compared to this one. Because if I push this, okay, it becomes stretch. Because this size, it should be roughly around that width. Okay, and again, I'm trying to check to see if everything okay. And again, in this one, it's a little bit too tight, right? So I have to kind of like fix it. Okay, so in some cases, you might have to like do quite a bit of tweaking, even though you finish with your unwrapping and stuff. Okay, so this is just one of the problem that you may encounter later in your assignment or project or whatever. Okay, so you still need to do some manual fixing with the UV. Okay, so trying my best to kind of like fix this one. Okay, so this is one method of fixing now. Okay, because right now still there is some inconsistency around this area, so I'm going to make sure everything is okay by just pushing and pulling the UV shell. Right, so maybe around this. Okay, and I have to rotate and then like keep doing the same thing. Okay, so there's a manual way of fixing. Now, before we move on to a different way of fixing, I want you to understand the cylinder shape. Okay, so let's say I have this cylinder, and I have this cylinder as well. Now, they both are cylinder object, okay, but this one, okay, the second object, it's leaning towards more like a cone-ish shape, because if I merge these together, it will become a cone. But in this stage, it's still a cylinder. Now, one thing that you have to observe, okay, so let's say I'm going to delete the top, because I don't need the top or the cap at the top, and I also don't need the cap at the bottom, and I will do the same thing with this guy. Okay, so I want the cap, and I'm going to delete the bottom cap. Okay, so I'm only left with the body, and again I'm going to do UV for it just for the sake of demonstration. So this is the UV for him. Okay, and again I want to do the UV for him as well. Now, what you notice that, or what you have to observe, is that this cylinder, if you look at the bottom portion and the top portion, the width, it's pretty much the same, right? Same size. So it's about that width, and this one is about that width. So they're both the same. And if you take scissors and you cut through this edge from the bottom all the way up, and you unwrap that paper, right, or that cylinder, you're gonna get pretty much something like this. Okay, so it's like a it's like a piece of paper that is being cut and unfolded. Okay, now if you look at this guy, right, and again assuming this is a piece of paper, and then you cut from the bottom all the way up, okay, the paper shouldn't be like this, right? Because if you look at the physical shape of this guy, it's actually getting smaller towards the top. Okay, so if you compare the 3D object and the 2D object, there's actually like a mismatch. Okay, I mean this is like two different shape, right? But they're both cylinder, but it's a two different shape. Okay, so this guy, it should have some kind of like a shrinking, right, portion around the upper region. Okay, as compare like this. Okay, and if you look at the checker pattern, like there is some issue with that, as you can see. Okay, now, but if I apply, I mean the bottom one looks okay, right? But as you go to the top, like something happening there, like it's getting like squash. Okay, so but if I apply some unfold, okay, and again, it's a shift right click, unfold, and settings. Make sure the unfold plugin is loaded, and I press apply. I'm gonna get something like this. Okay, which is if you look at the UV or the checker pattern rather on the UV, everything looks the same size. Okay, you don't have to worry about the orientation because this one is a bit on an angle. That's why this doesn't look like a checker pattern. But if I rotate this, it will become more like a checker pattern, right? Because of the orientation, like that. See? But what you have to notice is that now the shape of this map kind of match with the physical object in a 3D. Okay, so the top is getting smaller, right? This region, and the bottom is actually getting bigger as compared to the top, which is correct. Now, so the question is like, why am I showing you like this? Okay, if you notice, right, this submarine body, okay, there is a combination, right? Not just like that, or not just like one big cylinder. Okay, but it's actually like it's getting smaller, and it's also like a bit of notch, and there is like same width around this area. Is also pretty much same width, but around this area is getting smaller again in terms of the radius. But here getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. Okay, and if you look at the UV, it's not right. Okay, it's not right because the shape, right, is just like a rectangle. And if I look at the checker pattern, right, see this one is okay, right, but as it goes towards the tail, I think it's getting squashed. Okay, so we're gonna need to fix it up. And this one also, it's getting kind of like squash. Okay, so if I select everything and I press unfold, right, I get something like that. And if you look at the size of the checker pattern, they now looking okay. Okay, so this is the correct UV shell for the body. Okay, same thing with this, right? Same thing with this. So you select him, also unfold, and you're gonna get something like that. Okay, and again, you don't have to worry about the orientation because the software like Photoshop can take care of that. Okay, so again, it's just a matter of you positioning the UV shell. Okay, so if I rotate the UV shell like that, okay, then the checker pattern, it looks okay. Okay, you don't have to worry about that. Just need to position this into something like that. Okay, same thing with this guy. And again, as you can see, like there are many unused space. So what I'm going to do instead, I'm going to select this and I'm going to maximize the usage of the UV spacing. Okay, since I scale this up, I'm going to get the new scale. I'm going to select all his neighboring and I'm going to press set. Okay, and I'm going to arrange this again. Okay, now in some cases, right, because there are empty spaces that is not used, okay, you can actually make this bigger, right, even though like this is kind of violating the rule. And if you make this bigger, then this portion of the UV shell, it will get like more high res as compared to his neighboring shell. Okay, but it really depends on the project, because sometimes like the game, right, have any empty space, then you can make this bigger. Okay, so it's really up to the project that you're working on and whether the project allows you to make this bigger or doesn't allow you to make any changes to the text density. Okay, so again, everything is in place, and then you can ready to move on to the texturing portion.